Some people lose their family in a single moment, others lose them slowly by being busy. For a long time, I didn't know there was a difference. When I was younger, I believed tragedy was loud. I thought it arrived with sirens, hospitals, sudden midnight phone calls. I didn't realize the quieter tragedies were the ones we participate in ourselves, the ones built from postponed conversation, delayed visits, and the comfortable belief that there will always be another weekend, another year, another chance. I learned this later than I like to admit. I was 38 when the truth stopped being an idea and became a feeling I couldn't put down. I grew up with a younger brother. After our parents died, we only had each other. I was 16, he was 10. At that age, grief doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like responsibility. Like the world suddenly expects you to know things you were never taught. I became practical focused, careful. He remained gentle, trusting, hopeful. By my mid-20s, I had built what people call a good life. I moved to California, a stable job, a clean apartment that slowly became a house. Friends who spoke about promotions, investments, school districts. My life looked safe, respectable, successful in photographs. My brother stayed in a small town in West Virginia. He worked at an auto shop. Some months he saved a little, most months he didn't. He never complained when we spoke. He would ask about my work, my plans, my vacations. I rarely asked about his worries. Not because I didn't care, because I thought there would always be time to ask later. At first we talked every week, then every month, then only on birthdays. Distance didn't happen through conflict, it happened through ordinary days. I'm tired tonight, I'll call tomorrow. Next week will be easier. 10 years can disappear inside those sentences. In my early 30s, he started getting sick. Kidney disease, a quiet illness, the kind that doesn't interrupt your life all at once. It just slowly rearranges it. He sounded tired on the phone, softer. He said things like, "I'm not feeling great lately," or "I've been at the clinic again." I listened, but I didn't hear the urgency. I translated his pain into inconvenience. I told myself he just needed encouragement. Maybe some financial help later. When things slowed down, things never slowed down. He called more often during that year. Sometimes I was in meetings, sometimes at dinners, sometimes simply exhausted and wanting silence. I would text back, "Busy today, we'll talk soon." Soon became my favorite word. Soon also became my biggest mistake. He never begged. That's what haunts me. He never said, "I'm scared." He never said, "I need you now." He only said, "I miss you, brother. Just wanted to hear your voice." I thought love was understood. I didn't realize love sometimes needs proof in the form of time. Then one morning when I was 38, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Hospitals often use unknown numbers. Life-changing news rarely comes from saved contacts. The voice on the other end told me my brother had passed away due to kidney failure complications. There was no dramatic build-up, no final goodbye. Just a sentence and a silence that felt endless. I flew back for the funeral. A small room, a small gathering. Co-workers and neighbors who knew the details of his last years better than I did. That realization didn't shout at me. It simply settled into my chest and stayed there. I looked at his hands in the coffin and remembered the boy who used to hold the back of my bicycle so I wouldn't fall. I remembered promises we made before we understood how adulthood rearranges priorities. I had spent 2 decades building a life that looked complete and discovered it had a missing room no achievement could fill. There is a moment many people experience somewhere between 35 and 50. It doesn't arrive on birthdays. It arrives on an ordinary afternoon when the house is quiet. You look around and notice your phone is full of contacts, yet there is no one you truly want to call. Your achievements sit on shelves, polished and visible, but they do not speak back to you. You begin asking a question that feels almost disloyal to your own success. What did this cost me? Not money, time, attention, Presence. I spent years afterward trying to turn regret into goodness. I answered calls immediately. I visited people I once postponed. I donated, volunteered, showed up. These things matter. They help. But they also carry a quiet truth. Some calls cannot be returned. Some doors close without anger, without warning, without a final conversation to soften the ending. Safety gave me stability, but presence was what I failed to protect. There is an emptiness that comes from failure, but there is a different emptiness that comes from success built on postponed love. One burns quickly, the other stays for decades. Now, when my phone lights up with a familiar name, I feel a small echo of the past, not panic, not fear, just awareness. I understand something I didn't at 25. Life rarely collapses in loud disasters. It erodes quietly. One delayed visit, one missed conversation, one busy year repeated 5 times, then 10. Time does not knock before it changes the meaning of your choices. At 20, you think you are building a future. At 40, you realize you were also building memories you can never revisit. At 60, you understand the most valuable parts of life were never the ones that impressed anyone. If my life has taught me anything, it is this quiet contrast. Safety keeps you comfortable. Presence keeps you human. Years will pass whether you answer the call or not. Houses will grow quieter whether you notice it or not. And sometimes the bravest thing is not a grand decision or a dramatic risk, but a small act of attention given while there is still time. Because later is a promised time never agreed to keep.